Brussels is capital.
Vous écoutez Bruzz.
Bruzz.
Welcome, beings of shimmering whispers and loud vibrations. You are tuning into a frequency between dimensions. This is Fairy Princess with Magic Powers, transmitting from Bruzz Radio. Tonight, I have the joy of introducing an artist whose practice resonates deeply with this mystical frequency, Laura Conant. Based in Brussels, she is a DJ, producer, designer, and developer who blends technology with tenderness and sound resistance. In her article, Hand in Hand, Not Back to Back, How Collaboration Can Challenge Mainstream Narratives in Electronic Music, she invites creators to shape their own tools, turning rigidity of music tech into something alive, playful, and liberating. Laura believes in polyphony, where many voices sing together without hierarchy. She gently disrupts the myth of the lone genius by reminding us that creation is always collective, rhizomatic, and entangled. In her designs, she resists fixed outcomes, choosing instead to craft tools that breathe and invite collective curiosity. Like a portal into an alternate reality, her work shows us that another way is not only possible, it's already blooming in our shared frequencies. Thank you, Laura, for being here. I really liked your article. It was very, very deep and structured. If you guys want to read it, it was published in by Circlan Studio Design in collaboration with Marion Lazer. So I will ask you some questions. Today we're in a moment where new narratives are not only important, but they're essential. They challenge dominant power structures and amplify marginalized voices. Could you share with us how making our own tools for music production can be an act of emancipation?
Yes. So first of all, I started this research already 3 years ago, and it came of the fact that the music field and especially the electronic music field is super male-dominated. And I'm saying specifically electronic music because music in itself is very male-dominated, but also more the technology also fields, and electronic music is really like at the crossover between those two fields. And it's also a field where you see a lot of synthesizers, for example, super technical drum machines, and sometimes they are also very cool and very practical, but I think also it's super important to think how those tools are made, where are they coming from, how are they designed, and what sense kind of they carry, like historically. So I departed from that, and then I felt the need to kind of learn how to build them myself, to understand them better, kind of getting out of the black box, kind of, yeah. And then it's also like I talked to some other musicians about it, I interviewed some of them, and it kind of also came that by crafting different tools or your own tools, you can come closer to your practice and craft sounds that are really close to you. Because, for example, some artists that I interviewed didn't want to use sample in their work, like for example, I don't know, jungle, drum and bass, breaks, because it's also super male-coded historically in music. So it's kind of, am I part of this history? Does it resonate with me? So I think crafting your own tools can be emancipatory in the sense of you can produce different sounds and also design sounds really yourself.
Yeah, not making it the main base for every music that you craft.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and also some artists said that it kind of allowed them to look at sound from a very weird angle, but which is also then very creative at an angle. Yeah.
You speak beautifully about collaboration and how it can blur traditional boundaries between developer and user, especially in the creation of music tools and platforms. How does this shift in roles reshape the way we think about authorship and power?
So um, these boundaries between developer and user, it's not solely for music tools because it's like technology in general. Because for example, now with our phones, like we don't have access to a lot of parameters to calibrate them, and it's the same with computers. Like I don't know, for example, a very nice example is like on Mac OS there is some part of the memory you cannot purge. And before we had access to kind of everything, so your user had a lot more agency over their machines. And then there is kind of a structure of power between the people now building our technology tools and then the end user, which has like really less power over configuring their tools, how they would want it, and also be active in the process of building those tools, which was kind of more the case at the very beginning, for example, of software history, where big companies like IBM, for example, were developing software and then shipping them for free with the computers. So some people could like give feedbacks and like better them. So then there was kind of a feedback loop between developers and users, and then also it would better the tools. So I think, yeah, it's sorry, I'm kind of losing my train of thought. But
No, it's perfectly clear because from what I understood in your article, it's that. Sorry, I'm going to close the window. From what I understood in your article, which was something very new for me, that I'm not at all in tune with the electronic tools at all, but that before, as you said, it was kind of an open community to change the programs, and therefore the users would be automatically educated on this language. And now that the enterprises have monopolized this, that's why I'm so ignorant about this program, basically. So it definitely makes sense. So have you find like an emancipation in building your own tools? Like now you don't have to be dependent anymore, right?
mm-hmm. Yeah, for example, because then I'm also a developer for example, website and softwares. And I first started because I wanted to build my own tools, like not just for music, but like kind of for everything. Some super simple things like, oh, I want to build an archive of some documents, and I cannot find like a software that I like, or I have to pay for it. So then I guess I'm kind of paying for it with my own time building it, but then it's mine and exactly how I want it. So yeah, for me it's like super satisfying and emancipatory in a way to be able to build the tools that I need for kind of not everything, but yeah.
And it's a skill. It's a developing skill. So that you became independent.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost as if by closing the circle, the big enterprises have closed also our access to curiosity, basically, because now it's so easy for us, in guillemets, that we don't dare anymore. We don't even care to know about it. In the article, you draw a powerful historical parallel between free software movements and the historical process where common land used and shared by communities was fenced off and privatized, and then restricting public access and transferring control to private landowners. Could you walk us through this idea for our audience and explain why this is still relevant today?
Yeah. So first of all, I'm going to explain a bit, I think, the enclosure of commons. But before, all of the lands, like there were not really like fences around fields. So it was kind of more community-based. And then the enclosure of commons were really simply putting it like privatizing fields, so putting fences. So each person has his own lot, and it's not a community-owned field anymore. And the parallel is very interesting with open source and actually what happened with software, like I was explaining it earlier. Before it was really more open to a community to build everything together with other developers that were not in the companies. But now there is a centralizing factor about power in general, even outside of the technology field. I think it's like for every field, because then if you hold power, then you own, like you have money, really simply. And yeah, I think then the open source community is more about building project together and like contributing to make it better. And actually, I think you can go further if you are together working on something than like, I don't know, one company kind of feedback looping on itself. Yeah.
Definitely. I loved this comparison. It was very because sometimes you feel that talking about tech, it's so different and further away because of decentralization and monopolization, but actually these small comparisons make it very clear that is about privatizations on every kind of field. I love how you use the imaginary of play and the playground. All that vocabulary was very refreshing. It brings such a joyful, intuitive approach on something that seems very technical. How do you see play as a method of political resistance?
So usually, I mean, in the adult world, like playing can be seen as very childish, but I think you have to keep playing with your practice because it can also be a ground for creativity, and really, yeah, because sometimes I'm a bit against like the DIY aesthetic or technology aesthetic that is really like dry and like, you know, cables coming from everywhere. And like within my practice, for example, like my music instruments, like so user interface wise, I really like to think about how the user is going to interact with it and find different ways, so design wise, to interact with an instrument, to bring new ways of playing with the sounds. Because what I find very interesting with technology, so to do music, is like, for example, before we had the violin or the clarinet, for example, and you have a certain manner of playing those instruments, but with crafting, building new tools, you can also invent new ways of playing. And I know that synthesizers are built with keyboards, buttons, it's like super handy, but I also like to think beyond this. And really bring this theme of playing into it. And so, yeah, for me it also goes against a very like dry and technical.
Yeah, it should be more than just plug something and touch something.
Mm-hmm.
You blend art, tech and care so seamlessly in your practice. Was there a moment in your artistic journey, either DJing, producing, or writing, where you truly felt the magic of collective creation?
I think, yeah, I had several moments, but I think the more recent one was, so I have a label called Montage, with whom we organize music events, and we are collaborating right now with Club des Rives. It's a collective of scenographers and architects mainly, building experience and stages for mainly music, the music scene. And we started to think together about how to make music events more accessible to disabled people or neurodivergent people. And we collaborated for this with a collective based in London called Dance Floor Intimacy. And then we did a workshop around it with a lot of people sharing all of their experiences and like thoughts about what it could be. So with architect and non-architect, so it was very interesting. And then we're going to bring this to life at Recyclar in November.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Note the date. Which day is it?
If it doesn't move, the 14th.
Okay, we will be there.
So yeah, for me, I think it was kind of a feeling of really warm and fuzzy collectivity, bringing something good together. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I really want to experience that. And we've been speaking a lot about production and performance, but what about the audience? Do you have any recommendation for the listeners? How can they engage with or support this shift in narrative? Are there any collectives? You already said two. Books or writers that you could recommend us?
So maybe another collective. There is Psst Mademoiselle based in Brussels, which is also really thinking about how to make the scene more inclusive and accessible, and also like they build their own sound system, and I think it goes really well in the building your own stuff. So now it's a sound system owned by like an only Finta collective, and they lend also the sound system to really particular collective. So it's kind of building a sound system for Finta people.
Mm-hmm.
And book-wise, I think, or text-wise, maybe Ursula K. Le Guin, which write science fiction, is a good place to start, I guess. I mean, it's kind of a gimmick, but I think it's like really.
We love science fiction. We all do.
Because she writes science fiction and really being inspired by feminism and anti-authoritarian. I have a hard time saying it. But she wrote a text called A Rant About Technology, which date already from like 2004. But she got a lot of people saying that her science fiction was not hard enough and too soft, because I think she talks more about science fiction in the social-political way, and not really like, I don't know, super technical like a spaceship.
No, definitely. And if we want to switch narratives, we don't only have to talk about the war or the machine, but also about the softness and what that can bring to us. Thank you so much for all your words. Remember that you can read this article published by the studio Circlar. You can order the review in collaboration with Marion Lazer. And now we will listen a bit of Laura Conant's World. Thank you.
Thank you.
This is Fairy Princess with Magic's Powers, transmitting from Bruzz Radio. You're gonna listen to Laura Conant. And thank you for your patience and all the noise in the background. We are perfecting things over here. Laura is a DJ, a producer, a design and developer who blends technology with tenderness and sound resistance. Follow her on Instagram.
it's time to rest. We settle. Running back, we lost form. Running back, we're searching for. We're running. Running back, we're searching for. Running around the pictures. You're coming. Rolling around in cigarettes. How could I forget? How could I forget? We settle. We settle.
Herbeluister dit programma via de Mixcloud van Bruzz. Mixcloud.com/Bruzz.
Meer nieuws uit